Everyone knows that feeling, wanting to experience more stories, but struggling to find the time. That's where Audible changes everything. With over 1 million audiobooks and Audible originals, there's a story waiting to spark anyone's imagination. Take The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley, the gripping psychological thriller that's keeping listeners on the edge of their seats. Imagine unraveling its mysteries during your morning commute, or losing yourself in its twists and turns while doing household chores. That's the magic of Audible. It transforms daily routines into opportunities for thrilling discoveries. The best part? Members get access to thousands of included titles, with new content added regularly. From bestsellers to hidden gems, every genre imaginable is at their fingertips. And with one easy-to-use app, switching between favorites or discovering new passions has never been simpler. There's more to imagine when you listen. Start a free 30-day Audible trial and get your first audiobook free at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
Now it's time for Inspirational Women, and my guest, Sanoma Blakeley, an admirable and genuine young woman who, in living her dreams, I feel is such a great inspiration and model for all of us of what truly is possible. Sanoma is an author. Her book is Chasing Dreams. She is an equine enthusiast, and as we learn from her book, has a special bond with her horses. It's great to have her join us and share some more recent dreams that she has achieved. Sanoma Blakeley, good morning, and thank you so greatly for joining us once again.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be back.
Well, it just seems like the totally appropriate time during Women's History Month to have you join us, Sanoma, because you just really epitomize so much that is great and wonderful and possible, and just, setting out dreams for yourself and accomplishing them. So I'm just grateful that we're able to connect and share who you are and what you're doing with our listeners.
Well, thank you. I feel honored to be on again, and I really appreciate the consideration for Women's History Month. I like to think that I'm out, chasing my dreams and having fun, setting goals.
Well, there you go. As mentioning dreams, you're mentioning chasing dreams, and that exactly, here's the first thing. That's how we first connected last year, was because of this book that I hold in my hand, Chasing Dreams, the true story of the youngest female Tevis Cup champion. And that was a wonderful conversation, and if people want to know more about those details, they can always find the podcast on our Warm 1069 website and learn all of that. But today, with Women's History Month as a big part of the focus, and months and months have passed, and you have not been idle. You just keep chasing more dreams.
Yeah. So besides writing my book and winning the Tevis Cup, one of the more recent dreams that I've been chasing and actually was able to watch be fulfilled was as a equine enthusiast and a all-around horse lover and a lover of travel. I wanted to combine those two passions and go ride horses internationally. So this last February, I had the opportunity to go to New Zealand and ride 75 miles across New Zealand.
So that is amazing. And I read a bit about that, and that in itself is this amazing story, and I think bears telling as to you're having this dream of going to New Zealand. It wasn't just a spur of the moment thing. It's been this focus, or this, a dream, this wish you've had for quite a long time.
Yeah, it has been. So I guess when my dad was younger than I am right now, when he was like a teenager or something, he went to New Zealand and he'd tell these stories about how amazing New Zealand is. And then I have a really good friend that has friends there, and made some acquaintances over the years, drawing some connections towards New Zealand, so that, as I work towards going there, which I was, finally able to do, then it was really cool.
Yes, I think that there's just so much about that is so amazing, because you dreamed of it, but you didn't just let it sit there. You did some pursuing with, checking in with your friend, and it worked out that you could go there while a friend was visiting. But beyond that, because of your love of horses and racing, you had to seek that out as well.
Yeah. And that's the amazing part about like the endurance riding community is here I am, I'm this, girl from Oregon, and just reaching out about, there was this horse race there that I was eyeballing and wanted to do, and being offered to ride a horse there. Someone trusted me with their horse that they'd worked so hard, to build up to train to condition for this race, and then to, practically let a stranger come and ride it. Of course, no stranger to horses, but to Robin, the woman who let me ride her horse. And so that was pretty special to be able to build those connections to other endurance riders, horse enthusiasts. And then once I got over there, building even more connections, meeting people, and seeing all these beautiful horses in New Zealand. And that was pretty amazing, pretty special.
So just for those who aren't aware, the endurance riding is doing a ride that is a certain distance. Here, the Tevis Cup was 100 miles, right?
Yeah. And so they go from they have 25-mile limited distance rides, and then 50-mile, 75-mile, 100-mile, and then some other odd distances in between, 60-mile rides. But the most common are 50, 75, and 100. So the race I did in New Zealand, that one was a 75-mile race.
And that's incredible. How soon into your visit to New Zealand did the race occur?
So I was there for 2 weeks before the ride. And so the first week, I was just kind of hanging out with my friend who was there and meeting new friends and spending time at the beach and enjoying getting out of the Pacific Northwest winter. And then that last week, or the week before the race, I went down and my brother flew out to come and crew for me at the ride. And we got to spend some time together, rented a car and drove down to where the race was and meet the owner of this horse that I rode and got to test out the horse and get used to everything.
Did you say test out the horse? Is that
yes, I got it. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, and I just wanted to make sure that was the word test.
Yeah, so make sure that we were friends and a good match, and that I felt comfortable on him and he felt comfortable with me. And so I took him out for maybe a mile the day before the ride just to make sure that we got to know each other and liked each other, I guess, had a connection.
And I guess there's the connection, because that doesn't seem like a lot of time to build that kind of a relationship for a 75-mile race. But maybe because you are this horsewoman, there's just something innate there that translates itself to the horse?
I like to think so, and I think that's the beautiful thing about horses is that they kind of have their own, communication, their own language. And then once you kind of understand, I guess, more or less how to communicate with a horse and how to, make sure that obviously you're kind of putting yourself up there and sitting on them and you're like, well, I hope you behave because I'm not a rodeo rider, So I guess once you know that the horse is well-mannered and is a good trained horse, then there's just that kind of building a connection where you're like, hey, I'm not going to hurt you. We're going to be friends. We're just going to have a good time tomorrow and enjoy this race.
And obviously, Robin, the woman who owned the horse, what was the name of the horse?
His name was Titan. Titan.
That's right. I did read Titan. So Robin must have had a sense of who would be a good match for you to ride, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that, because over the years I've been competing on a lot of different horses. I think I've competed with, Titan was my 33rd horse that I've competed with, or 32nd. different horse. So over the years, competing with so many different horses, you kind of get a feel, and you have to kind of be kind of quick on your feet to make that connection and get to know the horse and get a good feel for the horse and like where they're at with their training and their condition and how in shape they are, so that you don't, over that course of 75 miles, it can be difficult to read the horse, because sometimes you're like, I got all this energy at the start, and then you're like, okay, well, you feel good, so let's go. And then halfway through, they're like, okay, I'm tired, we're done. Or riding them to their potential, so not being too conservative, because obviously you don't know this horse. I don't want to hurt Robin's horse by any means, and I don't want to hurt Titan. So then being kind of conservative while still wanting to be competitive makes a little bit of a tricky fine line, but a fun challenge too.
And you did exactly that in what I read from your newsletter, which anyone listening can subscribe to. We'll tell you more about that. But reading about that, I did get the feeling that you really have had this respect for Titan, as to just what you were describing now, as to how much to push, where to let go. And there's just this real kind of communication, it seemed, that was going on, and respect for this animal.
Yeah, I like to think so, because he's really ultimately doing most of the work out there, right? I'm kind of his navigator and making sure to remind him to eat and drink and take care of himself. But he's the one that's, packing me out there and running. So taking good care of him and letting him do his job and not getting in the way of his job. But obviously, like, horses don't have that. They don't know how to rate themselves for the endurance rides, for the 7,500-mile rides. And so being the brains, and he can be the muscle of the operation. And I like to think we made a pretty good team. We sure had a lot of fun.
It certainly seemed that way from what I read. And that you, of course, it's a race and you're competing. So, the goal is to win. But winning can come in different forms. And again, I appreciated how you were sensitive to Titan, and that you could have pushed to actually win the race, but you were, again, in harmony with the horse and came in a respectable second.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the drawbacks to riding somebody else's horse to a horse that you don't know. Because really, I got to know Titan pretty well over the course of the day, but still, I wasn't the one that trained him up. I don't know what he's capable of, and that's one of the cool things about competing with your own horse, is that you get to know where their limits are, like where you can push them and whatnot. And so with Titan, it was really, really fun, because I felt very confident in our second place. I felt like he was happy, I was happy. I hadn't in any way strained him beyond, where he was comfortable at. And so I'm really happy and proud of how we did. I honestly didn't expect us to do so well, just because of, I think, partly my own insecurities of, here's a horse I don't know, and we're going to go out and race, and I wasn't sure how I would feel about that. But I'm really happy, and couldn't have asked for a better race or a better day with Titan. So at the end of the day, that was my dream that I was able to get.
Which I think is so phenomenal, to go to a foreign country and but you anticipated this race. All of that was already set in place, but you did the research for that, so you could really optimize your visit and your time in New Zealand. It's just so inspiring, Sanoma, to have you set out these kind of goals and really reach out for them and move toward them and see how they just really gift you back with amazing results.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the coolest things. It's one of the things I love when I'm doing book signings and signing my book. I love, one of my favorite quotes is just like, don't be afraid to chase your dreams, because the journey will always be worth it. And so I think that just, even if, you don't catch your dreams, or it ends up being something different than you expected, just like putting yourself out there, pursuing your passion, that's really what brings the fun and the adventure. And sometimes the journey is more satisfying, I guess, than actually chasing the dream, because you come home, I got my second place ribbon sitting here on my desk, and that's pretty cool. But I think it was the adventures of like being out there, meeting new people, riding this horse, riding through the fields and herds of sheep, and through the New Zealand countryside with the amazing views. That journey of getting there was, I think, more amazing than the actual, finishing the race or the ribbon or any kind of award that you could get.
It's maybe that quote that we have about taking time to smell the roses, not just rushing through life, but just really savoring all that comes across your path.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's, very true.
And that's what you were doing. Again, this is just so amazing. And in your sharing of it, I just think stories are such a powerful way for us to find support, encouragement, maybe then, really believe that the dream I have is one that pursue it. One never knows what the outcome is, but as you say, that journey of appreciating what was there, it wasn't the getting the ribbon that you did. It was that entire experience.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes, you look at other people getting their dreams or other things, and it all looks perfect and without challenges. And, I could tell you what, getting to the airport was a whole challenge in itself. It took a couple of days, got stuck in snow because we were crossing the pass, the Cascade Mountains in the middle of winter. And anyways, it was a whole deal getting to the airport, and we definitely had plenty of things come up that made it challenging, things that got in the way where I was like, man, maybe I shouldn't even be going to New Zealand at this point, and other things that come up. But I think that's what you say, in the end, it's really just about getting there, and then looking back, you have all these great stories, and you can laugh about them, and maybe at the time being it doesn't seem overly laughable, but, I think it makes you a stronger person, and it just builds character, I guess. Maybe it's an overused expression, but I think it's true.
I agree. Exactly. I don't... It's something that has to happen for each of us, so just saying that things like that build character, I think maybe encourages us if someone's going through something and it feels like, oppressive, just stick with it. Like, well, saying that it took you a couple of days to get to the airport?
Yeah, so I was flying out of Portland, and, we lived here in Central Oregon by Bend, and it was right when we had that terrible snowstorm, middle of January, and ice, and the planes from Redmond were canceled, and then I was trying to get a bus ticket, and then the bus was canceled, and then I ended up getting a ride with friends, and we got stuck in the snow on the pass, and anyway, it was an ordeal making it to Portland.
And I could see, now as I was just at first envisioning, okay, you left in the car and you got stuck for a while, but no, I mean, the plane was canceled, the bus was canceled, you get stuck in the car, and you're not sure if you've got this ticket to fly out. Am I going to get there in time, right?
Exactly. And what was stressing me was because, I'm always searching for cheap flights because I can't really afford to get the refundable ones. So I bought the econo flight with no changes, no refunds, no cancellations. So I'm like, well, I have to be to Portland for my flight. Otherwise I can't go to New Zealand. So now I know to buy insurance for my flight.
Well, see, there's always a lesson also in there that's going to be beneficial for the future.
Yes.
Oh, so there was an adventure before getting to the adventure.
Yeah. Thankfully, all the adventures we had in New Zealand ended up being warmer than, shoveling a car out of the ice and snow.
Oh.
That was a cold adventure, but It's okay.
Wow, that is just utterly amazing. And I could imagine that, there might be some people who would just say, it's a sign, I'm giving up. But you just really had this driving passion to be in New Zealand, and you'd bought the ticket. You didn't want to lose that, of course. But it had been your dream to be there. So, that would be so much to give up not to keep going.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that, the disappointment of not being able to go, like, obviously there's valid reasons not to, for sickness or other things that could have come up. But for something like weather, or the disappointment would have been outweighing the challenge of just getting through and going there. So I think it's important to stick with it.
Yes, that's great persistence. Just amazing. And then to get there and to have this race and to get a second place ribbon, I think is just really amazing. And you add to your list of accomplishments an international win.
Yes, for sure. And now I have the taste of it. So now I'm looking at fun other rides around the world, and we'll see.
Oh, is that something? Do you have a place in mind yet, or you're still in the kind of figuring out what should my next dream destination be?
I think there's too many options. So now I'm still in the narrowing down.
Yes. But another great thing that you are doing, and with so much that you've accomplished in these experiences, Sanoma, that you are training young riders.
Yeah, and that's been so fun and so satisfying, because as we talked about a little bit in our last podcast about my horse Goober, the one that I won the Tevis Cup with, he's a good solid citizen now. Still a goober, but kind of outgrown some of his little quirks. And so it's pretty fun because I was able to take him. I did a book presentation at the school that I went to as a kid in elementary school, and it was really fun to watch him patiently, more or less patiently, let 350 little elementary school kids pet on him. And then I've been doing some riding lessons with kids, and it's been really satisfying to just see other kids that maybe don't have as much experience with horses. And, sometimes it can be not necessarily easy, but sometimes it can be easy to take for granted the relationships that I have built with these horses. And just having grown up with horses, you kind of forget that, there's other people out there that have never petted a horse before in their life, and these kind of things. And so it's been really cool to just be able to take this horse who's also experienced so much and done so much, and see him be so patient with the kids, and let some of these kids get their first opportunity to pet a horse and it be a pretty cool horse. So it's pretty fun.
Oh, that is just amazing. And both with having the experience of being around the horse, but here you are having won this mega race and the author of this book. I mean, there's so many things about that would inspire all the children, and I would think particularly the little girls there.
I'd like to think so, too. And especially since we got Goober, free off Craigslist, he wasn't some big fancy horse. He didn't really come from racing stock or anything. And so I think both of us kind of being the underdogs, coming from, small town Oregon, and this horse that was given up on as a, coming 2-year-old and whatnot, and then going out and being like, hey, look it, we kind of made something of ourselves, coming from, not a whole lot. And so then I like to think that hopefully we can try and inspire some younger ones, especially younger women. Not in case of Jimmy.
Well, you have that experience, and then having the desire to share it is just so incredible that that's how your gift, your talent keeps growing, I think, is in desiring to share it, and then seeing others compete and accomplish has to just really make your heart swell.
It really does. And I honestly, it's fun to watch because I think that it makes the horses' hearts swell too, because you can tell that they kind of change when they're around inexperienced horse people, and they'll tread more carefully and be more aware of their surroundings. And then when it's race time, these horses it's a race, and they can pick up and be competitive race horses. But to see how gentle they can be with the kids is truly beautiful.
That actually has to be an incredible sight to behold, to see that kind of connection.
Yeah, it really is. Makes me proud of our horses.
And rightly so. I mean, what a wonderful thing to have going on, to be part of that connection. But there's also, because so many horses also are used in therapy with different ages, but certainly with children and emotional challenges. And there is that sensitivity to see that happening then, and you never know really what the outcome can be for some people. Even if it's a brief period of time, they don't necessarily come for riding lessons and become riders, but you just never know how that has impacted them, do you?
No, you don't. And I really appreciate you touching on that, because there's this quote from Winston Churchill that I love, and it says, the outside of a horse is good for the inside of a man. And I just love that, because it's so beautiful, and it's so true how horses are really just good for our soul. And I think all pets to an extent are too, but there's just something special about a horse.
Yes, there is. I mean, they're majestic. Maybe it's the size that we have happening, but totally beautiful. And the relationships that you built with them. Yeah,
that is truly something special.
Well, here we are in March, and winter is, I hope, ebbing, although you've still had a lot of snow in eastern Oregon. But spring is on the horizon. And, of course, time to be thinking about another Tevis Cup. Are you going to be competing again?
I'm training my horse to see if I can get him ready for it. And we'll see. I would love to be able to go, but it's not till middle of July, and horses always seem to have their own agendas. So we'll see if I can get him ready in the middle of July.
So is that Goober?
No, I think my dad is training Goober to take Goober this year. I have my young horse. I took him last year, Cardamom. He's 9, and he's pretty strong this year. So we came in 4th last year, so I'm hopeful of how he can do this year. But you know how horses are. So.
Well, I'm sort of learning a little vicariously through reading what you're doing and that kind of experience. So I'll take your word for it, Sanoma.
Okay. Well, they always like to hurt themselves and give you a big vet bill. So.
Oh, no, well, we don't want that. That's both for their sake, but also for the bank account.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. No offense to the vet, but still, we need to keep that in check. Absolutely.
I don't think it's a good thing when you know your vet on a first-name basis,
Right, exactly.
Maybe I'm spending too much money here.
Exactly. Well, I wish you and Cardamom great success, and for your dad on Goober, that great things are in store for both of you, all 4 of you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And we're looking forward to seeing how the year unfolds.
And see, now that's where we can kind of keep track, too, of what's going on, because we can learn that through your newsletter, correct?
Correct, yes. I just started a blog and a monthly newsletter on our website to kind of keep, people that are interested in my endurance adventures up to date on what's going on, and sell horses and fun updates. And we have our first race of the season coming up in about a month, like middle of April. So then as the race season gets underway, posting race updates, and that's going to all be on our website, BlakeleyStables.com.
So check the website for connections to the blog, to signing up for the newsletter, and also to find out more about the book. And I think the book can be ordered online or through you, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Because you will personally inscribe it to whoever is going to be the recipient.
Yeah, and I love one of my new things that I love doing is signing books. It kind of scares me, but it's also fun to be able to send a little personalized note. So if you reach out to me, I always love sending signed books.
Well, I think that's such a wonderful idea, and I just love it because you are a young woman who's accomplished so much, who dares to dream and dream big. And I think what I found out from your last, or one of the early newsletters, is you also want to do this all having fun, that fun is definitely an important ingredient here.
It is, yep. We don't take ourselves ever serious. We're just here to have a good time. So enjoy the horses and enjoy the views.
That is so wonderful. Well, Sanoma, you too are so wonderful. I really appreciate all of who you are and appreciate that we've been able to speak once again and get updated on all the adventures of your life. So thank you so much for taking time with us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me again, Kate. It was a pleasure to talk with you as well. It's always great to catch up.
I agree. That brings us to the end of a very full hour of Inspirational Women with Sanoma Blakeley and Sunday Morning Magazine with Dr. Emmy Hosoda. I'm Kate Daniels, your host, and I greatly appreciate your sharing this hour with me and these special guests. For details you might have missed or information you'd like to know, please just send me an email, kated@warm1069.com, and I will get right back to you. Also, if you'd like to listen again or to share these important stories with your family and friends, find the podcast on our Warm 1069 webpage. Just click on the Listen tab, then Podcasts, and then either of the show names, and then look for the guest names. I now wish you and your family a day of dreaming your special dreams and moving toward them. Have a week of the same, and then please plan to join me again next weekend for another hour of Sunday Morning Magazine and Inspirational Women on Warm 1069. Happy Easter Day.